Hey everyone, welcome to another video lesson. In this lesson, we'll be jumping into Premiere and learning how to create a project file, in addition to familiarizing ourselves with the basic editing interface. First, we'll learn about all the settings involved in getting your first project optimized for the best performance on your system. Then we'll go panel by panel through the basic editing interface in Premiere and make sure you completely understand what each panel is called, where it's located, and what it does.
All right, my friends, welcome to another video lesson. In this lesson, we're going to be covering the basic editing interface in Premiere. So let's jump into Premiere. And what we're going to do is create a new project. So we're going to click the New Project button here. And Premiere automatically opens up this window, the Import window. What we're going to do here is simply name the project and tell Premiere where we want it stored. Then we'll be configuring some other settings from within Premiere itself. So up here in the project name window, we're not going to leave it untitled. So what we're going to do is mirror the name of our parent folder here, but we're going to do it in a slightly different way. We're going to capitalize the first letter only, template 2023 underscore, and then we're going to enter some other information here. We're going to put your name. That's my name. You type your name. Another underscore. And then we're going to put in the date in a very special way. We're going to use an 8-digit date format starting with the year 2023. And then today's date, which in this case is January 18th, 2023, 0118. Then moving over to the project location dropdown here, we're going to select Choose Location. And we're going to navigate to our parent folder here, Template 2023, then into the Project folder to store our project. Makes sense, right? Hit Choose. And now you can see Premiere knows what to call our project and where to put it. So then we'll move down to the Create button here, and that will launch the Premiere interface. Now there are a few more things that we need to configure before we can take a tour of the interface itself. So we're going to head up to File, Project Settings, and then click General. And that launches this window that has some additional configuration capabilities. Under Video Rendering and Playback, you have a choice for Renderer here. Now on a Mac, you'll probably see choices like this: Mercury Playback Engine, GPU Acceleration, Metal, or maybe OpenCL. And then also Software Only. So if you have a GPU, a Graphics Processing Unit card, a helper card, that allows Premiere to more efficiently represent visual elements on screen, you will have these other choices aside from Software Only. You can see that the Metal option here is recommended. Now, if you choose Software Only, Premiere will basically abandon the use of the GPU card, and it will make it more difficult to play back video smoothly. So the long and short of it is, this works better than this. Now, if you're on a PC, you'll have choices like this, but they'll probably say something like CUDA, C-U-D-A. So you'll want to choose one of those instead of Software Only as well. So we're going to go with Metal. And moving down, we have Display Format. We want that to be timecode. And then Audio, we want to display in audio samples. And then under Capture, you can see it's all grayed out because there is no capture unit hooked up to this system, and we will not be doing that in this class. We're going to be importing video that we either gather from external sources or shoot ourselves, so we will not need to capture, so we don't have to worry about this setting. Action and title safe areas. We're going to talk more about this later on in the course, but basically, these are areas that Premiere defines in which we should keep text and important actions inside on screen. These are the industry standard settings for this, and again, we'll talk more about that later in the course. Color management, the presets here will work just fine, so we're going to leave those alone. And then we're going to move over to the Scratch Discs tab up here. And what we want to do here is leave every single one of these choices as same as project. And what that allows is Premiere to easily, automatically organize all of these files, captured video, captured audio, video previews, and so on, within our folder structure without us having to think about it. Now, in a professional environment, say maybe a shared storage server environment, you might have different locations for these choices. But for our purposes, we're going to store everything in our parent project folder. All right, so moving on to ingest settings, the next tab. This is something that we will not use in this class, so we do not have to worry about it. All right, back over to General. And we've completed all of our additional configuration. So let's hit OK. All right, so now we can turn our attention to the interface. And what I want you to understand is that this is the basic editing interface, and you have different choices about how to view the panels in Premiere and their arrangement using this button up here, the Workspaces button. Click on that and you can arrange the panels differently for different purposes: learning, assembly, color, effects, and back to the basic editing interface here. You can also do that by going up to the menu under Window, choosing Workspaces, and making choices from there. Now, for the purposes of this class, we're going to be sticking with the editing interface. That's what I'd like you to use, so that whenever we're talking about the location of things, we're all on the same page. So in the lower left here, we have the Project panel. This is where you will store the creative assets that you're going to be working with in an organized fashion. In the upper left, we have the Source panel. This is where you can view clips and other creative assets before actually editing them into your timeline. You can audition them, watch them, listen to them. You can even place in and out points to determine exactly what part of a clip you want to use, that sort of thing. Now down here at the bottom, we have the Timeline panel. This is where the clips that you will edit into place will go and create your sequence, a series of clips edited together. Then up here in the upper right, we have the Program panel. And this is where you will view the sequence that you have created down here in the timeline. So these are the four main panels: Project, Source, Timeline, and Program. And there are keyboard shortcuts that will take you to them. Shift 1 will take you to the Project panel. Shift 2 will take you to the Source panel. Shift 3 to the Timeline panel, and Shift 4 to the Program panel. Now, there are a couple of other smaller panels here. We've got all the way over in the lower right, our audio meters, where you can actually view the strength of audio coming from various clips. And then over here toward the middle, we have the Tools panel that houses a lot of very commonly used tools in Premiere. And if you roll over them, you'll actually get an indicator that tells you the name of the tool and the keyboard shortcut associated with it. So we've got the Selection tool here with a keyboard shortcut of V, the Track Select Forward tool with a keyboard shortcut of A, the Ripple Edit tool B, the Razor tool C, the Slip Edit tool Y, the very commonly used Pen tool with a keyboard shortcut of P, the Rectangle tool, the Hand tool with H, and the Type tool with a keyboard shortcut of T. I will tell you right now, 95% of the time, you're going to be using the Selection tool. Now, there are other panels that you can see here in the interface: Effect Controls, Audio Clip Mixer, Metadata, Media Browser, Effects, and so on. We'll be discussing most of these panels as we progress through the course. So there you have it, my friends, the basic editing interface in Premiere Pro.
That does it for this video lesson, my friends. And now you're ready to move on to the knowledge check. Remember, you can always circle back and rewatch this lesson if you have any difficulty answering the questions. I'll see you again in the next video.